Hello everybody, Burnedoutguy here. Welcome to Sandustry, a game about beating up dirt, making sand, and getting gold from thus sand. Alright, so the game is pretty straightforward and simple up to a certain point, and then after that it starts getting a little bit, not complex, but interesting, because you gotta kind of figure out some of the mechanics of the game. But we'll start off by just beating up all this dirt down here. And that dirt, when it's mixed with water, becomes wet sand. So you got sand and then wet sand. And then now it wants us to take this wet sand and like shake it, and then you can get gold. Wants us to do this first. All right, there we go. Now we can shake it and get gold. There you go. Yay. Now we'll take some more of that. Keep shaking. There you go. Now it wants us to get a shaker. So this is like the beginning part of the automation, right? Automatically throw stuff into your inventory down here, which is temporarily okay. And then we can do something like this and like that. There we go. And then if we re-grab our little grabber here, we put the wet sand on that, it automatically does it for us. Beautiful. So if we gain some more money, and we got to get 30 in order to get the logistics, right? That shouldn't be too bad to get. What's really nice about the physics of this game is that the heavier materials will push the lighter ones out of the way, which is kind of cool. All right, so that should get us the 30 for that. Now they want us to build some conveyor belts, which is fine. We can do this and this. And then we got ourselves a little elevator here. We come up here. We can do copy. And then we can drag stuff around. And then if we're not happy with it, we can delete it. Pretty good. That's that. All right, so now our goal is to shake 4,000 wet sand. That's fine and dandy, but we're not going to be doing that really here. We'll just kind of like let this thing finish what it's doing, and then we will start building our main factory, I think is what we're going to do. There we go. So now we got ourselves a little bit of money here. We'll go ahead and we'll buy ourselves the hover. That's going to be really helpful when we're coming to do our little building. All right, so this over here is pretty much, well, no use to us anymore. And we'll go ahead and we'll delete all this here. That. And this, because we don't really need it anymore. But now what we're going to do is we're going to start using this body of water over here. Actually kind of nice. Not bad. It's not too horrible at the bottom here. All right, so what we'll do is we'll start with our conveyor belt. Depending on how we dump things in here, but this is kind of like the plan. We'll take our launcher. We're going to come way up here. I like building them way up in the sky. Gives me lots of room to do what I want to do. We're going to do like a double launcher here, which I think should be fine enough for controlling the flow of our material. All right. We're going to want to take a conveyor belt, make a nice long belt out of it. What I enjoy doing here is making a slant here, down. And if you hold Alt, you can do the opposite side. And then you can make a nice little thing like this, protecting all your materials. And usually I just bring it right up to the water level. Make it look nice. Nice and pretty. There we go. So this is like the first little section. Our materials are going to come over here, flow there, and they're going to kind of get regulated here. Now what we want to do is this nice little overkill shaking system. So one thing I really like to do when I'm building is hitting Alt V, and you get this nice little ruler that you just, is always there. And then you can kind of like match things up really nicely, right? So we want to come down here and say about here will be good, right? Sounds good for me. Then what we'll do is we'll add 2 conveyor belts here, and we'll start bringing our conveyor belts this way. This is where our gold is going to come out. So all the gold is going to fall down onto this belt right here. And then all the extra residue is going to come and fall down here. Normally this is usually pretty good. I never really had any need to make a second one, but I'm going to make a second one anyways as like a redundant system to, make sure that we're also controlling the flow of our items, right? So we're going to want to match it up with this one over here. We'll grab our shaker again. It's right here. And we'll bring it down. Conveyor belts again. This way. Actually, this one, right? This is going to be like our gold elevator, and we're going to have a nice big gold storage there. Crazy how deep this goes, but that's fine. Then here is going to be a catcher for the residue, and the residue is going to kind of come over this way. We're going to have some fun with this. Nice big factory where it could just handle whatever we kind of throw at it is kind of like the goal, right? So here, because we don't want this to ever overflow, we're going to need to put a thing here, and it's going to be the same thing for here as well. If you hold control, you can overwrite the block that's there. Yeah, nice little enclosure like this. This will control the flow of gold. Just like so. Everything stays nice and neat. And then what we can do here, temporarily, just delete that. And then now we got to think about our gold, right? Want these to come out one. Gold is going to come up here. Put another conveyor belt there. Then gold will come up on this side. Beautiful. This looks really nice. Give us space there. Just put a conveyor belt there just in case anything ever gets hung up there, right? And then what we can do is we can make our gold storage here. Yeah, I think there should be good. Be a nice size gold storage. And then we'll cap it off. And all of our gold that we accumulate in the game is going to kind of go here, hopefully, right? That's going to be the goal. Okay, so now all the residue is going to come this way. And we're going to take our residue and we're going to bring it up. We have our little launcher system here. Want a conveyor belt. Gonna go that way. Block this in. Actually, what we're gonna do for starters is this is going to be a storage for now. There we go. So any of the residue that we get is going to come in here, and we're going to store it in here for now. And then later on, we'll deal with the next part. So this is going to be our starting factory. So let's go over here and check out the beginning here. So we'll just make some sand. Now that we've accumulated a little bit of sand here, what we can do is we can start making our little automated system here, right? So what we'll do is we'll have this come out to about here. And then we can have another belt come out to about maybe here. Right? And then another belt come up to about here. This is fine. Put like a launcher here. Another belt there just to make sure everything gets there. The launcher here. Here. Oh. Eventually everything will work its way into here. It'll work its way up. And then what we can do is for later tents, do stuff like this. Prevent it from going underneath afterwards. You can just pull all the material out, throw it up here. There you go. And as that's cooking, we can come up here and we can check all this going. So you can see that it creates a nice little flow. Otherwise, I think it'd be a little bit too thick. Or maybe it's preventing it too much. We'll see. Let's look here. With and without. We'll see the difference in the flow of the material. See which one's better. I think without actually is better. Because now things are being kicked back. Yeah, I can deal with that. That looks good. So usually the material doesn't flow farther past here because we got kind of like a nice little trickle here. If we were flinging it off onto there, it would probably be a different story. Like if we had another one here throwing it. Or we had a whole bunch of them going across. Because what you can do is just another thing you can do is like you can do like a bunch of launchers. You make your material flow really fast. Oh, I put that one the wrong way. And you can copy and paste stuff. Or how that's going to be. There you go. Now things can move a little bit quicker. That might actually be better. Instead of clumping it like that. I don't know how good for this is going to be though, but I think it should be fine. This looks pretty good. Once it gets rid of the big pile there. Okay, well, we've easily surpassed the 4,000 wet sand here. So we're going to take these filters because we're going to need them at one point or another. We'll unlock the next tier. We're going to need a flamethrower. We're going to need that afterwards. Thanks. All right, we'll figure all that out as we go. Wow, that's pretty overflowing, eh? Pretty crazy. There you go. Now all of our stuff is here. That's pretty cool. Gonna have to get dealt with. That's freaking awesome. I think it'll be better. I think what I'll do the next time too is once it all clears out, we'll change that to down here like that. So that way it scoots across here a lot quicker too as well. I think that would be good. I kind of like that. Might not need the conveyor belts, but I'm going to leave the conveyor belts there anyways as kind of like a fail-safe. Alright, so I think this is going to be like the ultimate thing to do. Just have these with conveyor belts and everything. I think that works out very well. And then this stuff here, we have to burn. If you just go and burn it, which is the next thing that we got to do. So all that's going to get made into burnt residue, which is pretty cool. And this burning system is going to be really small later on, but for now we just got to deal with this. I forgot about all the residue out here. Luckily we can burn it and break it down. Okay, so this residue we need to pass through something else here. So we need the kinetic press here. That was going to give us the next little bit that we need. Just looking at all the other stuff there. All right, so let's do that now. So the kinetic press, eventually this stuff is going to come up this way. Probably do something like this for a kinetic press area. And then we can just do this. Awesome. This will be closed off for sure. And then we're going to need a launcher here. Probably just the one launcher will be sufficient, honestly. I believe that's what it's going to be. And then just to make sure that things make it in there, we'll do something like that. There, that looks beautiful. And then eventually what's going to be here is we're going to have like our little burn system. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a launcher here. And we're going to put a conveyor belt going like this. I'll have to deal with something with that residue in a second though. That's fine. Oh, oops. Narf. I forgot to make like a pit or something for it. That's fine. You can start to accumulate there. I'll fix that. So we click on a filter here. What we can do is we can say only burnt residue allowed down. So we can do something like this, right? Or we're just going to cap off our normal residue and we'll just let our burnt residue come down. There we go. So now that I've kind of cleaned up my mess here, what we can do is we can go in here, we can buy the thermal buffer. Man, we still don't have enough for that. Man. All right. And it looks like we got to grind a little bit more of this, right? Well, we'll take care of this part first. So what's going to happen here is we'll have a conveyor belt that comes out here like this. We'll do a double launcher system. And then we are going to grab a filter. Or, well, one of these first, I think. We'll grab a filter one. And here, the only thing we're going to want to let go is seeds. So seeds can fall down there. And we'll have another conveyor belt here. Going into a launcher. It's going to come up here about there. We'll make a conveyor belt coming to about here. We'll be fine. And then we can just close all this up. There you go. And then down here, we're gonna have a temporary seed storage. Just like that. And all these are seeds. So we're just gonna throw them in here. Now, if we connect this thing here, that should be fine. Now, once we get through the backlog, it won't be so rushy rush. Things will be a lot more smooth. I'm pretty sure anyways. Because right now, like a lot of the seeds aren't really making it through. They're kind of just getting like re-recycled here because we got so much gold going through. But they'll just collect on the top of here regardless whether they make it through here. But they shouldn't. I got like a good redundant system here going on. We're just simply collecting them. Well, that wasn't too bad at all. I'm not hating it. We'll have to just check to see when we put actual dirt through it in the whole 9 yards to see how well it flows. But once we start automating this burning process there, it'll be a little bit better. As far as I'm concerned anyways. All right, I think I'm really happy with the way this is set up or is going there so far. So I think that's where we're going to end today's episode. We got dirt into pretty much all the way up to sand or seeds. That's pretty good. So next episode we'll work on trying to get this a little bit more automated and a lot smaller and condensed because we really technically don't need all of this. It's going to be kind of like a straight little line thing and with a little loop involved. But other than that, I think that's going to be about it. But so I hope you enjoyed the episode, everybody. Like, subscribe, peace, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.